Alright, so let's take a look at a couple templates that are going to be important for you in the library, starting off with books. You will always, always, always want to base a new book on a book template. Alright, book templates are very important in AuthorIt. For one thing, they provide a starting point in the authoring process because you can include objects in that book template that will then be inherited by new books based on that template. Objects that would always appear in books of that type. And what you're doing is basically shortcutting the authoring process where authors will not have to remember to enter the right objects into that book. They're already there for them. So if your book always has a title page, table of contents, and index, for example, then you might as well add those to the book template so that they are available for authors when they create their new books. It is basically a way for you to include required content automatically. All right? If it's necessary, then put it in the book template so that your authors don't have to do it themselves, because once you start relying on the authoring level to take care of requirements, then that's when you may get into some inconsistencies in your books. Now, another reason why book templates are so important is because they are the object that point to your external publishing templates, which are the templates that control your published appearance. All right, so when you publish to Word, your book template points to a Word template or .x file. When you publish to HTML, your book points to HTML files, HTML frameset files that actually create the structure of your HTML project. All right, so you can't publish unless you have those files being referenced from your book template. All right, so your book template should be referencing those files. All right, now let's take a look at creating a book template in your library. Now, templates are always located in your restricted section. In this case, they're located in the standards area. So let's go ahead and take a look at the standards area and decide which book template folder we'd like to create our book template in. Alright, so I'm going to create a training manual book template. And let's say that the training department is new to the AuthorIt library. We've just convinced the training group to start using AuthorIt, so they need to create some templates so they can start importing and creating content. So I'm going to create a training folder here and create my new book template in that folder. Alright, so to do that, I'll create a new book. I'll go ahead and base it on None and start entering in the properties for this template, starting off with enabling the all-important checkbox, make this object an object template. If you forget to enable this checkbox and you make some changes in this book and you hit OK, you can't go back and enable this checkbox. You have one shot at enabling that checkbox. It is before you save this book. So enable this checkbox and then save the book template. Otherwise, you have to recreate that work all over again. Alright, so let's give our template a name that makes sense to our trainers. Call this the training manual. And now we'll click Apply. Okay, now the reason why I put that template in the training folder is for organizational purposes. Because as an author, if I now go to create a new book, let's refresh our library and try that again. If I go and create a new book, then I should see my training folder here. I'm telling you, I'm having all sorts of problems today. Let's refresh again. Okay. Alright, it is possible that I have just angered this library, so let me go ahead and log out. Log into a different library. Pardon my technical difficulties here. Let's try that again. Training. We'll create a new book. Enable the template. Checkbox. Call this training manual. Hit apply. Alright, so now if we go up to books, why am I not seeing the training template here? Interesting. Okay. Let's get back in. There we go. Okay. So I've logged out of the library and logged back in. Not sure why that wasn't refreshing like I wanted it to. I apologize for that. Alright, so here's my new training manual book. Let's open that back up in Properties View and keep assigning properties to it. Alright, now if we go over to the Print tab, we can enter in some properties that we would like all of our books to inherit. Let's say that the super title for our books will always be Training Manual, and the byline is Acme Teleportation Company. Alright, now the most important field here, the Word Template field. This is where you will map to your Word template. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how to create and customize that Word template. For now we'll just learn how to reference it. So we'll reference it from the Print tab, Word Template field. Now in your student data folder you have a folder called Word Templates. We'll go ahead and select this Acme template here and hit open. Alright, we'll go ahead and click apply to save those changes. Now I can go back through my help and then my web tab and then enter in again some properties that I would like my books to inherit. So let's go ahead and enter in super title here again. Byline Acme Teleportation Company. Alright, now down at the bottom of the screen here, this is where I associate the web tab with my external publishing templates. When you publish to HTML from AuthorIt, you have to associate your web tab with a frame set file if you're publishing to HTML and XHTML. Alright, so we have some sample frame set files in your student data folder. Let's select here Acme HTML. And we're looking for HTML frame set. Your frame set may or may not be named with the same naming convention. It doesn't really matter. You just need to point to that particular frame set file. Now I know this frame set uses some additional files in order to make it work. Some HTML files, some JavaScript, and some graphics. So I want to associate all the files that this frame set needs to work in this drop-down list here. So I will select this ellipsis button, click Add, and then select the files that my frame set needs to work. Now as a best practice, what we recommend is that if your frame set requires a file to function properly, save that file in the same folder that your frame set is in. Notice how we have all of these files located in this folder. They're all being used by this frame set file. The reason why we want you to save them in the same folder is because when you're creating your book template, all you have to do is select all from here. I just selected Control A. It selects every single file in that folder, and I click Open. And I've gone ahead and then easily selected every single file for my frame set. Alright, so as a best practice, if your frame set uses additional files, which the majority of them will, just keep them in the same folder. All right. Now, by default, author it in your author it installation directory. You're going to have many possible frame sets that you could work with, at least as a baseline for customizing your own frame set. We give you something like 5 different examples of frame set files that you can use. So yes, author it does come with multiple sets of frame set files that you could use as a baseline for your customization of the frame sets. All right, now last but not least, I want to go over to the book contents area, and I want to put in any required objects. So let's say that all of our training manuals always start with a title page, and they have a table of contents, and they have an index. All right, so I'm going to place those in the book contents area. I'm also going to put them in the order that I would like them to display in, and I'll click Apply. Now let's see, there's some topic objects that always appear in my training manuals as well, things like disclaimers and copyrights. So I'm going to go up to Common Content Legal and go ahead and drag and drop in the copyright and disclaimer that needs to appear in all of my training manuals. Alright, so I've made some changes to my training manual. I'll click OK. Now whenever I create a new template, I always check my work. Alright, so as the next step, let's go ahead and create a training area here, and I want to test out my new template. So let's now go to Book, Training, Training Manual, and let's call this Teleportation Training Manual and click Apply. And now let's check the book contents, check the Print tab, Help, and the Web tab. Alright, so all of the properties that I defined inside of that template have now been inherited at the book level. Alright, so if for some reason I'm not happy with the results, you can always go back to the book template, open it up in Properties View, and make some changes to it. So any change that you make will then be reflected in all of the locations that that book is used. So let's say, for example, I do make a change to the template and click Apply. Author is going to say, hey, you're about to update one object that's based on this template. Do you wish to continue? We'll go ahead and click Yes here. Alright, so now my test book should also have that change that I've made. Alright, so my book has inherited the properties from my template. Any fields that I've left blank in the template can now be used by the author. So only leave fields blank in the template if you want your authors to enter content in that field.